Hey T Squad, it's your girl Keisha, and we are on part 3 of my Exposing Vince McMahon series. Child, this ride continues to get worse and worse and worse, but we're in it now. So let's keep on going. Let's get into part 3. But let's continue. In contrast, Laurinaitis messaged Miss Grant, "Thanks for the fun afternoon." On or around January 25th, 2021, Miss Grant was reassigned to directly support WWE's new hire, a high-ranking employee in the legal department. On February 5th, 2021, McMahon sent Miss Grant to establish a schedule for when other men, including physical therapists and Laurinaitis, could have schmecks with Miss Grant, which Miss Grant attempted to rebuff. Here's another text message. McMahon says to her allegedly, "Exactly, baby. He's not the only one. Blank called me this afternoon begging to eat you and F you with his nice and hard Peter Weeder. She says, 'Give me another week, baby, and I'll be ready. I'm feeling more like myself. It's not great, but it's getting better. Tell him soon,' with 3 exclamation marks. McMahon says, "I already told him, baby. By the way, Johnny wants Tuesdays, but not this coming one, and the occasional Saturday, but maybe I can shift it to Thursday nights. Johnny would like all of the above." So they just setting this up like this is a dinner reservation. Like they having play dates. Now, with the way she's responding, though, with the way she responded to him, it's not giving, "I don't want to do this." She literally says, "Give me another week, baby, and I'll be ready. I'm feeling more like myself. It's not great, but it's getting better. Tell him soon," exclamation marks. Like, if this is something that I really don't want to do, I'll be like, "Dude, I'm bleeding. I'm hurting. I don't want to do this. I didn't like it." I don't know, Bernie. I don't know. Text like this: "A shift schedule caused Miss Grant to suffer breakdown over how her original hope for a new life had been reduced to an objectified and dehumanized existence with no way out." On or about March 6, 2021, a second between McMahon, Laurinaitis, and Miss Grant occurred. In March 2021, WWE still had not hired a replacement after WWE Corporate Officer Number 4's termination in November 2020. On March 9th, 2021, McMahon informed Miss Grant, still an entry-level coordinator, that top executives in the company knew about their relationship and that her presence in the legal department was effectively delaying the company's efforts to hire a new replacement for this high-ranking official, reinforcing the fact that many within the company were all aware of the circumstances detailed herein. As a result, McMahon stated the plan was for her to change departments, and he verbally directed Miss Grant to transfer to the Talent Relations Department, reporting to Laurinaitis. On March 10th, 2021, Ms. Grant sent McMahon a text message recapping their conversation and expressing shock and a range of concerns, including about Laurinaitis. Essentially, Ms. Grant expressed a desire to be treated humanly and taken seriously, which she acknowledged could be an uphill battle. Unfortunately, Ms. Grant's transfer to the Talent Relations Department came with the expectations from both McMahon and Laurinaitis that she engaged with Laurinaitis sexually, both physically and with explicit content. On March 10th, 2021, WWE Corporate Officer Number 2 informed Grant that day that she would officially be moved to Talent Relations and would quickly begin reporting to Laurinaitis, although details about her role, including a title and salary, were still being firmed up. In essence, Miss Grant again found herself in a completely undefined role, except for the understanding that she remained a schmexual slave to be used and trafficked by McMahon within the WWE. On March 12, 2021, McMahon reminded her of the connection between her job and her role as a sexual object. "Let's work hard and play hard too." On March 16th, 2021, Ms. Grant was directed to pick up a key to Laurinaitis' hotel room and serve herself to him as breakfast before the start of work. McMahon constantly reinforced the expectations that Miss Grant schmexually performed for him and her new boss, Laurinaitis, both in and out of the office. McMahon wrote on March 2021, "Do you promise to make me proud, baby? Will you show him what a Schmorno star you can be? Will you show off for me like never before? And on days when he's in town, I want him to F you every morning and later in the office too." McMahon also indicated on April 12th, April 12, 2021, that Ms. Grant should obey if Laurinaitis wanted to bring in yet more men. In another text message, it says, "Maybe he wants two other guys to join you with him. Holy-ish, you've told him you would do anything with him, so if he surprised you with two others, you would have no alternative than to take them on." Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. OMG, the stories you could tell me then. It makes me want to, right now, white stuff right now. By the way, I just thought of what I think is an excellent idea. Maybe you can hint that if he knows someone who can be discreet, it might be better if you and Johnny try him out first so he can get more comfortable before he is introduced to me. Actually, that makes total sense, doesn't it? This is crazy. This is longer than the Diddy stuff, child. I cannot. Shoot, did I lose my place? Hold up, I lost my spot again. By April 2021, come on, bro. In April 2021, WWE Senior Vice President of Human Resources was fired. The same month, McMahon informed Ms. Grant that she would be given the title of Vice President Operations within the Talent Relations Department. However, days later, McMahon backtracked and said she would be a Director of Operations instead to avoid suspicion of a sudden promotion to Vice President. During this conversation, McMahon told Ms. Grant that he had expressed to other WWE management that he wanted her to reach the level of vice president and spend a year or two in the position, as she would be able to take the experience anywhere. Ms. Grant left this conversation with McMahon hoping that she could escape this situation with her finances and reputation intact. She just needed to survive until the point. An April 2021 meeting between Ms. Grant and WWE corporate officer number two acknowledged that the jump initially proposed to Vice President was too big and could put a target on Ms. Grant's back. Nevertheless, WWE corporate officer number two presented Ms. Grant with paperwork detailing a base salary increase to $200,000 as Director of Operations. As soon as Ms. Grant began working directly for Laurinaitis, forcibly touching and overtly schmexual behaviors became part of the daily life when he was in the office. On numerous occasions, Ms. Grant was directed to visit Laurinaitis at his hotel room before work to serve herself to him as his breakfast. These devastating experiences made Ms. Grant feel as though she were being pimped out as an object for schmexual gratification for her new boss. Upon information and belief, corporate funds from the WWE were used to finance Laurinaitis' hotel stays when these coerced schmexual encounters occurred. Per McMahon's instructions, Ms. Grant reported interactions with Laurinaitis back to McMahon, for whom the story served as a source of arousal. The arrangement with Laurinaitis left Miss Grant miserable and enraged. However, in her years of experience with McMahon, she knew her request to stop would be ignored at best or used to destroy her career and reputation at worst. Miss Grant was further left feeling isolated by colleagues and surveilled by the top level employees within WWE. Professionally and personally, Miss Grant's fate was entirely in the hands of McMahon, Laurinaitis, and other WWE executives who enabled her a schmooze. On May 24, 2021, McMahon messaged Miss Grant to remind her that a mistake could destroy her career and that she should pursue verbal communications rather than written were possible. In another text message, Vince says, "These complaints will keep on coming, baby. Just wait and see. I totally understand and agree. Being scared of communication and photos. Johnny gets drunk and sloppy and could easily make a mistake that could cost him his job and yours too. Verbal communication is the way to go. That said, have you and Johnny talked about breakfast tomorrow?" She responds, "We haven't discussed it at all. It's up in the air. Johnny complained about getting a new phone and it just arrived. I haven't set up time to coordinate setting it up with IT because I need him to assure me that he's erased everything he's ever saved. Truly, I regret that he ever got pics. It's not worth the stressing I'm feeling. I'm done with it." Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this chick. Panic that someone else's mistake could cost Miss Grant her livelihood left her feeling helpless and afraid of what would happen if McMahon mood shifted, leading her to message him expressions of loyalty, love, and submission as a coping mechanism, and with the hope that he would protect her. On June 4th, 2021, Miss Grant again told McMahon that she did not want to engage in sexual encounters with Laurinaitis, adding, "I've left that hotel feeling bad about myself every time." McMahon responded that the one-on-one encounters could cease, but that he expected with Laurinaitis to continue. I need to see those text messages. Why those text messages weren't photographed and put in the documents? Because I need to see those instead of just hearing about it. McMahon and Laurinaitis confined Miss Grant to an office for a schmexual at WWE headquarters. The following morning on June 15, 2021 at approximately 7:51 a.m., Miss Grant messaged McMahon that due to her work on an important project, she did not want that week as a won't set me up for success. It'll knock me out. To avoid pushback from McMahon, Miss Grant offered the following week instead. McMahon and Laurinaitis ignored her plea and brought her into Laurinaitis' office, forcibly touching and undressing her before forcing her to engage on a conference table. Miss Grant pleaded, no, and please stop. McMahon responded with no means yes. Miss Grant again told them to stop. Instead, McMahon licked his and penetrated Miss Grant and said, "Take it, biz naive," with each taking turns restraining her for the other. Laurinaitis then joined by forcibly shoving his tongue, then Peter Weeder, into Miss Grant's mouth. On June 23rd, 2021, around 11:42 a.m., McMahon directed Miss Grant in the middle of a workday to meet him on a lower floor. When Miss Grant arrived, McMahon led her inside his private locker room, locked the door, and forced himself on her over a massage table. Later that day, $15,000 in gift cards to Bloomingdale's were purchased at McMahon's direction and delivered by McMahon's personal assistant to Miss Grant in her office. On multiple occasions while Miss Grant worked under Laurinaitis, including after McMahon's promise that one-on-one encounters would end, even after his wife moved across the country to join Laurinaitis, he would call Miss Grant to his office, lock the door, unzip his pants, and instruct Miss Grant to perform sloppy toppy. Though all this, Miss Through all this, Miss Grant noticed that the less she schmexually engaged with Laurinaitis, the less work she had. As Laurinaitis began to belittle Miss Grant in front of colleagues, fearing for herself and her future, Miss Grant asked Laurinaitis whether he still supported her promotion to vice president. He deflected with an answer about considering all options and changed the subject. The extreme uncertainty and fear for her future exacerbated Miss Grant's physical symptoms of illness, including gastrointestinal issues and vomiting, which continued to worsen over the remainder of her time with WWE. McMahon uses Miss Grant as a schmexual pawn to entice world-famous wrestling talent and to keep WWE Superstar under contract with WWE. WWE Superstar is famous worldwide as a top talent with WWE and a large collective fan base that helps generate viewership and drives in-person attendance, all of which enrich WWE and McMahon. Upon information and belief, McMahon began to recruit WWE Superstar for a schmexual encounter with Miss Grant while she was still a coordinator in the legal department. By July of 2021, McMahon informed Miss Grant that WWE Superstar would be their next playmate. As in other instances, McMahon described his fantasy of seeing Miss Grant engage in unmerciful schmexual acts with WWE Superstar, during which he would rip her open. Mind you, this superstar is alleged to be Brock Lesnar. As in any other instances, McMahon described his fantasy of seeing Miss Grant engage in unmerciful schmexual acts with WWE Superstar, during which he would I already said that part. McMahon also confided to Miss Grant that he wanted to have WWE Superstar under a new contract, while WWE Superstar indicated an interest in a return to other professional endeavors. On or about July 12, 2021, McMahon directed Miss Grant to create personalized schmexual content for WWE Superstar. McMahon shared the photos with WWE Superstar and then informed Miss Grant that he likes what he sees. On July 21st, 2021, McMahon flew and or caused WWE Superstar to fly on a jet into a local airport and travel into Connecticut across state lines for what McMahon described to Miss Grant as a business dinner, as well as a schmexual encounter with Miss Grant in McMahon's condo. Upon information and belief, the dinner was to discuss WWE Superstar's continued involvement with WWE. Prior to the business dinner with McMahon, WWE Superstar made a brief visit to Miss Grant's building. However, WWE Superstar did not return to the building for a schmexual encounter because he was too intoxicated and taken back to the plane. Mind you, Brock Lesnar is married to former WWE legendary wrestler Sable. Later that evening, after McMahon recounted the story about his dinner with WWE Superstar to Miss Grant, he sought to salvage the night with a request that they role play a schmexual encounter in which McMahon acted as if he were the WWE Superstar. McMahon was so physically rough with Miss Grant during this encounter that Miss Grant begged McMahon to stop numerous times, including loud cries of "Help, I'm serious and I'm scared," as he, among other things, penetrated her, fisted her, pulled her hair, pinned her, shoved her, and open palm slapped her. McMahon's assault caused Miss Grant to break down, weeping and curl into the fetal position with her arms pulled up to protect her face. McMahon alternated between slaps and shoves before admitting that "I'm really effing up with you right and left tonight, huh?" This is sadistic. McMahon forbade Miss Grant from leaving his condo that night unless she could verbally assure him that there wasn't a problem and everything between them was okay. Notably, however, he made no effort to check on her well-being after she left his condo. On August 26, 2021, WWE held its second biggest annual event, SummerSlam, in Las Vegas, Allegiant Stadium. Around this time, McMahon and WWE Superstar privately reached an informal agreement about his return. That night, McMahon texted Miss Grant a reminder that she was an enslaved object to him. I want to drive you lower and lower, so low that you might beg me to sell you. Emphasis added. McMahon confirmed to advertise a schmexual encounter with Miss Grant to WWE Superstar during the formal negotiation of a new booking contract with WWE. And then in the text message, it says, here's what blank said after I told him that part of the deal was effing you. LOL, that's your turf. She will be ruined after me and leave your butt. Plus, after me, your tool won't fit anymore, with crying, laughing emojis. In December 2021, McMahon gave Miss Grant's personal cell phone number to WWE Superstar and promised she'll do anything requested of her. In the days that followed, WWE Superstar revealed a fetish to Miss Grant and tested McMahon's promise that Miss Grant would do anything with a request that she send a video of herself peeing. Unable to recognize herself, Miss Grant went numb and obeyed. WWE Superstar informed Miss Grant if she had not complied with the request, WWE Superstar would have lost any interest in her and then called her a biznai. That same month, WWE Superstar expressed to Miss Grant his desire to set a play date. Oh my God. I literally just said that. This is like they're setting up play dates. Oh my God. And have a schmexual encounter. However, a snowstorm changed WWE Superstar's travel plans, and Miss Grant ultimately used the weather and COVID-19 as an excuse to back out. McMahon tells Miss Grant that his wife has learned about her and pressures Miss Grant for an NDA. In early January 2022, McMahon abruptly distanced himself from Miss Grant, saying that he could not speak to or be in the same room as her. On January 9, 2022, McMahon agreed to speak with Miss Grant at his condo. During this meeting, McMahon told Miss Grant that his wife, Linda McMahon, had learned about his relationship with Miss Grant, that he was losing his condo, and that she would divorce him. He added, too, that a public divorce would make Miss Grant a headline. Purportedly to salvage his marriage and avoid both the negative publicity and other repercussions of a divorce, McMahon wanted to ensure that Ms. Grant would remain silent about his personal misconduct in order to preserve his controlling interest in WWE. McMahon told Ms. Grant that if she left WWE and signed an NDA, he was confident Linda McMahon would not divorce him. He could remain in his condo and Ms. Grant would avoid reputational harm. Linda, you just as bad as too, because you knew what this man was over there doing with these people. Like, you should have divorced him and took him for everything he had instead of sticking in this loveless, trifling marriage. Gross. And it's making me wonder, like, Triple H heard about this stuff. Did Stephanie McMahon know about this stuff? I mean, at this point in time, Stephanie had left the company by this time. But like, who all knew? Oh my God, this is so nasty. McMahon instructed Ms. Grant that she should not go back to the office and immediately lessen her involvement on open work items. Ms. Grant expressed concerns about both her name being mentioned in the media and the loss of control over her image, especially as McMahon had shared content of her for close to 2 years, and the ramifications for her career. McMahon suggested that he would attempt to help keep Ms. Grant's reputation intact and that he or WWE's corporate officer number one would personally help Ms. Grant to find another job. McMahon also instructed Ms. Grant not to share this news with anyone and suggested she offer health-related excuses if asked about leaving WWE. Regarding the NDA, Ms. Grant asked McMahon, "Is this when Jerry sends the papers?" McMahon nodded and assured Ms. Grant that they would be in the driver's seat to iron out terms together, but she would need an attorney to make things official, and approved of Ms. Grant asking Celebrity Doctor for an attorney referral. Following this discussion, McMahon led Ms. Grant to his bedroom for another schmexual encounter. Oh, you're not going to stop that, are you? On January 14th, 2022, McMahon sent Ms. Grant a to-do list for purposes of effectuating the NDA, such as retaining counsel, and also included an offer for one-on-one career coaching. McMahon suggested the list had been drafted by WWE Corporate Officer Number 2. Before Ms. Grant retained counsel, McMahon discussed the amount of money that would be exchanged for the NDA and settled on a lump sum of $3 million after Ms. Grant told McMahon his initial offer of $1 million was not enough to compensate for the lost earning potential and the fact that she would be unable to continue the promised career trajectory of vice president, as well as failing to last as a director for a full year. Before Ms. Grant retained counsel, McMahon called Ms. Grant with an update and informed her that McMahon's attorney and counsel for WWE insisted on installment payments due to cash flow purposes. When Ms. Grant responded that this reason did not make sense for a billionaire, McMahon insisted that it was not his idea. On or about January 19, 2022, Ms. Grant advised McMahon that she had contacted Celebrity Doctor about an attorney referral, and on that physician's recommendation and upon McMahon's approval, she signed a retainer agreement with a lawyer later that day. On January 24th, 2022, McMahon continued to engage in sexual text message exchanges with Ms. Grant, including encouraging her to send an explicit photo to WWE Superstar. McMahon also requested Ms. Grant send him content she had sent to the WWE Superstar. The negotiations of the NDA were brief, lasting only 8 days. Ms. Grant reminded McMahon that the NDA ought to address people who knew about their relationship, including but not limited to WWE Corporate Officer Number 1, 2, John Laurinaitis, and McMahon's personal assistants. Ms. Grant and her attorney sought to incorporate the list of individuals who had knowledge of the relationship into a Schedule A in the NDA. Ms. Grant's requested revisions were flatly rejected by McMahon and WWE, who reverted to their original draft rather than incorporate any of her proposed changes, with the exception that as of the date of execution, Ms. Grant would not speak of the relationship. On or around January 26, 2022, McMahon articulated an even more pressing need to get the NDA signed immediately, informing Ms. Grant that he was under a tight deadline to report pending or threatened legal actions to the WWE Board of Directors, specifically the Audit Committee, and that McMahon and his attorney could not do so unless McMahon signed the NDA. He informed Ms. Grant that board members were concerned about the delay. Also, as I'm reading this, it makes me think that Linda has a lot of power behind the scenes when it comes to this company. That's why he ain't trying to divorce her. Furthermore, McMahon repeatedly pressed Ms. Grant to stop her attorney from any further wordsmithing and blamed Ms. Grant's attorney for not understanding the urgency of the situation. Also, despite any previous approval, McMahon now expressed that both he and his attorney had concerns about Ms. Grant's attorney and warned her that her counsel could not be trusted, which in turn caused Ms. Grant to question her trust in her personal attorney. On or around January 26, 2022, Ms. Grant became so overwhelmed that she asked to simply give notice without the need for a payment, even offering to sign a napkin or post it as a sign of goodwill. McMahon flatly rejected her desire to back out. On January 27th, 2022, just 8 days after Ms. Grant had hired an attorney, McMahon left Ms. Grant a lengthy audio message explaining why they needed to go through with the NDA, pushing her to hurry up and sign the NDA, and advising that he would be double effed if she did not, presumably referring to both his divorce and report to the board of directors. Between on January 27, 2022 and January 28, 2022, there were unresolved edits that led to panicked phone calls, including an attorney confidentiality clause and signatory line that Miss Grant's counsel said he would never sign. Also, the deadline to sign the NDA was pushed up from January 31st to January 28th. McMahon continued pressuring Miss Grant with calls during which he pleaded, demanded, threatened, and begged her to sign the NDA and reminded her that by not signing, she would jeopardize him, the company, and his family, and that she would surely become the subject of national headlines and ruin her reputation if she did not sign the NDA by the start of WWE's live programming schedule on January 28th. He assured her that nothing would change between them and she would emerge with her reputation intact if she would simply sign the NDA. In a state of mental defeat and fear from McMahon's threats, Ms. Grant succumbed to his unrelenting pressure and signed the NDA just before the deadline on January 28, 2022. On February 4th, 2022, Ms. Grant was wired $1 million as the first installment of the NDA. On February 28th, Ms. Grant was wired $10,000 to cover her attorney fees incurred in connection with the NDA. Both wires were sent with originator described as Vincent K. McMahon, CO, WWF, an originator address, and it states the address. On February 9th and 10th, 2022, Ms. Grant gave notice to Laurinaitis and put human resources at WWE on official notice that she was leaving WWE. After signing the NDA, Ms. Grant continued to ask about who had told Linda McMahon, as she was concerned about her ability to obtain employment in the future. McMahon responded that it did not matter and that he was tired of her questions. I just bet he was. I'm sorry. After the NDA was signed, McMahon, wearing only a white robe, met Miss Grant in his condo to review outstanding business items. As Miss Grant was proceeding to the door to leave, McMahon grabbed her arm before she exited and commanded her to do one last thing and get on your knees. As Miss Grant knelt on the hard floor, barely a few feet away from the front door, McMahon opened his robe and ordered her to eat him. McMahon grabbed the back of Grant's head and slammed her face into his crotch a couple of times until she gagged and pushed him away, telling him to stop and that she couldn't breathe. McMahon responded that she wouldn't get away that easily and held her head as he forced himself back in her mouth until she had no air. Miss Grant tried to push him away, but he held her head firmly in place and loudly commanded her to look up, followed by "Take it, Biznae." They momentarily made eye contact before McMahon's force caused Miss Grant's body to convulse and retch with tears streaming down her face. McMahon then released his hold and closed his robe as she stood up. After leaving, Miss Grant never saw McMahon again. On March 2nd, 2022, while Miss Grant was away on a trip to Florida, McMahon called Miss Grant to advise that it would probably be the last time she would hear from him, and if she needed anything, to contact WWE corporate officer number 1 or number 2. Over the course of an approximately half-hour call, McMahon laminated both his inability to focus on the upcoming WrestleMania and how his personal life had blown up over the past few weeks. Towards the end of their conversation, McMahon and Miss Grant agreed to resume contact after WrestleMania. He also instructed Miss Grant to continue having sexual relations with other men, including WWE superstar, in the meantime. So this is what I'm saying. Like, you no longer work for the company. Why are you still doing it? I'm so confused. On or around March 4th, 2022, WWE superstar messaged Miss Grant that he was in New York in line with McMahon's orders. Miss Grant texted WWE superstar explicit pictures. On March 27th, 2022, WWE superstar reached out to Miss Grant again. Miss Grant interpreted these back-to-back advances as an indication of McMahon's continued control. On March 30th, 2022, Miss Grant's counsel received a call from McMahon's attorney advising that there had been an anonymous email about the relationship between Miss Grant and McMahon and Laurinaitis. Later in June and July 2022, stories were published regarding the matter of McMahon's multiple NDAs with various women associated with WWE and others. Miss Grant did not receive another payment under her NDA in February of 2023. Further, despite assurances from McMahon that he would cover her medical care and the costs associated with her tax liability for the $1 million payment, McMahon has refused to cover these costs. McMahon continued to pay for Miss Grant's medical care until April 15, 2022, when it abruptly ceased. Gifts given to plaintiff during time with WWE in association with McMahon. From 2019 until early 2022, McMahon provided Ms. Grant with gifts to keep her under McMahon's control. Upon information and belief, the gifts provided to Ms. Grant included ones purchased by McMahon and expensed them to WWE, meaning that he bought these gifts for her with WWE funds, which is illegal. So, examples of the items received by Ms. Grant from McMahon in 2019 included the following: alternative clinic medical care and medical and cosmetic services and products, clubhouse access tickets to the Belmont Stakes, WrestleMania private full day transportation and premium tickets, a $2,000 Nordstrom gift card, and a massive box of Godiva. That's it. Examples of the items received by Ms. Grant from McMahon in 2020 included $20,000 towards surgery paid directly to a surgeon's office, pearl/diamond pave lariat necklace from Better Ridge in Greenwich, Connecticut, blue cashmere knee-length cardigan from Nordstrom, blue Burberry check cashmere scarf from Nordstrom, blue cashmere and fur hat from Nordstrom, gray cashmere shawl from Nordstrom, Celine sunglasses from Nordstrom, cable knit throw blanket, and large bouquet of flowers delivered approximately every other week. Girl, that's it. With all of that you was doing, you should have been taxing him. Girl, please. Examples of items received by Ms. Grant from McMahon in 2021. Like, girl, you ain't getting no house, no property, no cars, no trips, some glasses. What? She finally get a car in 2021. She got a 2022 BMW 430xi, $5,000 gift certificate at Landerfer Spa, 2 private chef catered dinners in McMahon condo, gold and diamond pave paperclip necklace from Better Ridge, $15,000 Bloomingdale's gift cards, food assortment display, an antique tea ceremony set from Saudi Arabia, and large bouquet of flowers delivered approximately every other week. Ciao. And that's it pretty much. This is a mess. This is literally a mess and so disgusting. Well, y'all, that was the end of this Surviving Vince McMahon series. That was like, I feel dirty. I need to go take a bath. The most crazy part was the feces part for me. Like, and then the black Peter Weeders and pretending like they were WWE superstars and setting her out to all of these people. Like, that is pure craziness. And it's like, a part of me feel like she was a willing participant though in this. And I feel like the only reason why I feel like she took this to court is because she didn't get the rest of her money. Because I need to see the other text messages, because like I said, it seemed like this was something that she was into and like she had feelings for him. But regardless of whether she was into it or not, that she said yes or no, what he did is against the law, and it's disgusting, and it's trifling, it's morally corrupt, and it's just, men like him need to be put down. And I'm glad that men like him and Diddy are getting exposed, because men like Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein and all of these people, like, stuff like this has been happening for centuries, and men have been getting away with it, and it's not fair. It's not right. And men need to stop abusing their power in the workplace and just period. It's disgusting. Like I said, Vince has stepped down and resigned. This is the second time this has happened within the last 2 years. Hopefully he stays away at this point. I think that it will stick this time because he's not a sole owner anymore. You know, the company was sold to TKO. So he just needs to go. He really honestly does. I don't want to see his face. He walking around here with this dyed hair and this mustache looking like Hitler. Like, I just cannot. Like, just go be old and go sit your nasty tail down somewhere, ruining the whole legacy of what you created. It's ridiculous. It really truly is. And anybody that participated, looked at videos, and all of that need to be taken down too. Needs to be fired and taken down too as well. And I hope that everybody get their just due in this because it's sick. Y'all, let's talk about it all down below in the comment section. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell button. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.